Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. My wife is mad I caught her cheating and demand an NDA regarding her affair in exchange for more than 50% of my assets. My wife and I began dating in 2000 and married in October of 2005. In 2010, our son was born. 13-year partnership, 8-year marriage, and 3.5-year-old kid. We both have a large family in the area and strong support networks for babysitting. Divorce would necessitate the selling of our home as well as the relocation of her parents that rent a second house from us. I would keep that home, but my wife would sell the one we now reside in. These topics were addressed and, on a broad scale, agreed upon a few weeks ago. I thought for about a year that my wife was having an emotional affair with one of her coworkers. I asked her about it several times, every few days near the end, and even asked if she had sex with him. Everything was denied. She said he was a buddy, even showing me images of him and his family, telling me where he worked, same industry, different company, and filling me in on some of their talks. She was having so much fun with it that I began calling this person her boyfriend. We had supper with her folks on November 17th, and he was brought up in the most casual of ways. My wife paused for 5 seconds, longer than usual in her reply, to her parents, and I knew something was wrong. I grabbed our family laptop the following morning and looked through her iPhone backups for proof. She had been sexting with him since early September and had a full-fledged sexual affair with him since early October. When I challenged her about it, she came clean, confessing to everything, including a one-night encounter with the man during a business conference in February 2013. In a summary, there was a one-night stand in February 2013, sexting in September 2013, and a dozen or more sexual meetings in October/November 2013. The last tidbit was a 3-day honeymoon, his words, at a business conference in October. They had particular intentions to continue this until February 2014, when they would meet at the same conference where they had met a year earlier. They had both agreed, in writing before I found them, that it would stop there. I had my wife obtain STD testing, and she will return in 6 months. During the affair, she and I were sleeping together, and have continued to do so since. The other man is 42 years old, a pretty successful partner at a small law firm, married with 3 children, and lives in the same town as us. I've already run across him while shopping. Point is, we live close together and will sometimes run into one another. His wife, 42, who does not work, is unaware of the affair. My wife appeared to imply that if his wife found out, she would certainly go nuts and take him to the cleaners. My wife and I are in treatment, both couples and individual, and are still deciding whether or not to remain together. She's 50/50 at this point, and I'm 25/75 or 75/25 depending on the day. We are quite respectful to one another, and I feel we still have mutual affection for each other. As one would expect, there is a tremendous lot of anguish, distrust, tension, bitterness, and a slew of other feelings. I believe the relationship can be saved if we are both prepared to put in a lot of effort. One difficulty is that I'm not sure either of us can tolerate the procedure for months or years. We've spoken about some of the reasons she did what she did, as well as some shared flaws in our relationship. We are working on them, and I anticipate that it will take a long time. In the meanwhile, I'm dealing with the following issues. I feel compelled to inform his wife. I believe it would be ethically correct, and I would feel some feeling of accomplishment in righting that injustice. Consider that my method of retaliating against him. The trouble is that doing so may have ramifications for both his and my wife's careers. As a result, it might have a negative impact on me. I'm 99.9% certain I can't tell the wife, but I can't help but think about methods to inform her while retaining plausible deniability. If my wife and I divorce, I'm so angry right now that I'm 99.9% sure I'm outing him to his wife. Note aforementioned cleaner's comment. Trust. I'm certain that my wife is no longer sleeping or interacting with this man. I have enough of evidence that she is on the up and up. Not to add that I still have backups of my iPhone, complete with mutually photos and texts. If I caught them doing anything else, it would be game over. If I go public, he has a lot to lose. Having said that, my wife did sneak around with impunity for a few months, so I have some fundamental questions about who the duck is this person I'm married to. Basically, I presume anything she says is a lie unless I can independently verify it. How have other individuals regained their trust? This is my kid. He's just 3.5 years old, so he won't remember anything about mommy and daddy as a marriage if she and I divorce now. That will not be the case after a year. He's now ignorant to our problems since, for the most part, we've maintained calm while he's in the home, but I'm sure he can feel the tension between us. I'm quite sure both she and I are more short with him. Is there anybody else in the group who has been in a similar scenario with children of a comparable age? How did you manage the situation, and how did it work out for your children? Who should I confide in? Her parents, sister, and a close friend have all been informed. I've told the same thing, as well as a few out-of-town acquaintances. In a nutshell, we've kept this mostly secret from our local friends, coworkers, and so forth. Of course, a part of me wants to stand on a figurative hilltop and tell everyone. However, even if we do get through this, I'm not sure I want that ghost to follow us about in public for the rest of our lives. Finally, do you have any additional suggestions, questions, or comments? I'm sure I left something out. This forum has suddenly become my primary public outlet. Update 1. Okay, everyone. Just a little update. I'm on my phone in bed. The wife is in the guest room. You may probably tell from that sentence that I have the steely reserve of a child. She had gone out for drinks with a committee on which she serves. Mutual friend is not on it. I must have been behaving strangely. I'm generally humorous and lighthearted with her, but I think I was rather stoic, so when we arrived to the restaurant, she began lecturing me about my envy. I can show you the agenda for the meeting if you don't believe me, etc. In the preceding 26 days, I had questioned her about MF, mutual friend, appropriate initials. So I broke down at the restaurant and told her everything I knew. I held my calm as best I could and ate and drank margaritas while she didn't eat at all. It was a terrible idea to open a restaurant. I returned home. I requested a full account of what had occurred. A long tale short. Started with Footsie. In March, she texted to say it was inappropriate and apologized. He doubled down and escalated the flirtation, she responded. By July/August, pictures began to be exchanged. Only 6 or so inappropriate ones from her, dozens from him. During this time, they met frequently for coffee during the workday and would text each other every day. They kissed during her unremembered blackout at the BBQ. She asked him if they did because she felt back to daily messaging. Last week, she was in D.C. for the night and received the final nude photo from him. Today she was texting him on her way to a committee meeting. She spends the whole time telling him how sexy he is and how, if things were different, they might be together. It took a trickle of truth to find out about the second kiss, and that was after I informed her that if any little element of this tale doesn't make up or is later shown to be false, we're done. Her first response to me notifying his wife was that it was none of our concern. I told her I'd probably tell her anyhow, and that she shouldn't tell MF about it. Another significant fact is that she erased her iCloud backups a week after I challenged her, against the advice of Apple support. To be fair, her phone was experiencing serious problems, which were resolved by erasing the backup, but it was still quite useful. There have been fresh backups after the deletion, and I'd want to have access to them. She is now saying no, but if there is to be any reconciliation, this is a sticking issue for me. I told her I was going insane in my head over what had happened, and that this would at least solidify my understanding of what had happened over the previous month. I spent the previous month trying hard to become a better spouse and partner for her, and she was still sexting MF, and the pace of his nude selfies was even starting to ramp up at the end. This is where we are right now. I'll focus on determining my next steps. I'll keep you posted if anything new comes to light or if any progress is achieved. I promise I was a wonderful spouse. I'm devastated. Update 2. My D-Day occurred 1 year ago tomorrow morning. Oh my goodness, the time has flown by. It's been an emotional roller coaster of discovering, planning, explaining, and contemplating. By December of last year, I realized we weren't going to make it. She was taking no responsibility, no treatment, few apologies, and was completely self-absorbed. It took me months to get the courage to make certain adjustments. My STBX was still hesitant to do anything by April, and it was evident that I was not, and would never be, a priority in her life. She is a wonderful lady who has gone off the deep end, at least with regards to our marriage. I divorced her in May and moved out in August. We've stayed friends and things are better than they've been in a few years. I'm dating, she's dating, and we're doing a good job of co-parenting. We went to mediation, finished MSA over the summer, and divorce paperwork was filed with the courts. I had forgiven her, and I know what she did was bad. but it's all made me a better person. She's still a hot mess in many respects, but at least she's her own hot mess. Everything is going well for me now that I'm on my own.